Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to our weekly CAD 116 Zoom classroom meeting. This week we're going to be covering Module 5. Module 5 goes through detailed drawing, and for this week's assignment, we have 2 mechanical drawings, Lab 5A and 5B, and we have one I would call a landscape drawing. It's really not an architectural, but you could kind of group it with that. And it's called a site plan. And essentially, this is a house, the plan of a house. This is the driveway, has a backyard with a pool and a small garden. And so we're going to show you how to do a site plan. And when I say we're going to show you how to do that, we have videos for that. And so everything that's purple color coded is a video. And so video, 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 video. Sometimes there's some linking errors. And so if you do come across a linking error, just email us or IM us and say, hey, Joe, it works for you, but it doesn't work for me. And that's sort of what happens because Al and I have like super user status, I guess, and we can go into some of the other classes and still be able to link to the videos, but occasionally we have some difficulties with that. Here's the site plan PDF. Remember, blue means books. And so if I look at that, this is what that drawing looks like. And then if I come back here, and then like I say, we like the video aspect of it. And so here's 5A. And if we play it, hi, this is Joe Cerrone. And we close caption all of our videos, so you don't have to listen to us, but you can put the CC on, and then it spells most of the words quite well. And so I love the closed captioning. You can go through it, and some of the AutoCAD software is a little bit dated, but it still works quite the same. And so we go through, here's the title block. And then I kind of walk you through the same kind of settings where I'll go turn on the menu bar. So I'll hide the menu bar, and I'll show the menu bar. And I talk a lot. That's why I turn my volume off for myself. And then I'll go in and I'll show people how to set up the grid and the snap. So when I look at some of the assignments and people are going, hey, you know, that's not working for me, I'll say, well, did you watch the video? Because you can usually get everything from the video. And so here I'm using polar tracking right here. I type in 6, boom, and then we track north, and I'll type in 4.25. Here it goes. So the videos we feel are the best way for people to learn the CAD. The books are great, but they're different. And so when you read how to draw, it's not the same as how you watch how to draw. So we have another video here for the other drawing. Okay, and this is a polar array. And the mechanical design business is doing well in this economy. We are still having people looking for people in the technology sector, in engineering. And one of the nice things about CAD is that you can work on it remotely. And so all of the companies, they're still having people work from home. So having a job that you can work on the computer from home works well. And so as we talk about CAD, we've been doing this for quite some time. This is the Oakton CAD website, and we've kind of migrated over to the D2L here, but we still keep it as a reference in all these drawings. These were from back when I was up at College of Lake County. We go through how to create these drawings and everything you want to know. And if not, we'll go through and show you. So that's the other mechanical drawing. And then if I come back here to our main splash page, and then here's the site plan drawing. And so here's the PDF. We kind of showed that. There's more to the site plan instructions in the chapter because this PDF only gives you one picture. And if you go through and you look at the videos, I have it broken down into multiple parts where you can go and you can download the site plan template drawing. And here's the instructions for it. And so there's a learning guide. And so I take you through what the drawing is like, and then step by step how to go through and do it. And so I talk a little bit about it, show the basic dimensions. You're welcome to do them straight from scratch, but being an introductory course. And so here's the site plan prototype. You can download it, and then you can open it. And then you have a basic start. And that's normal. When you get a job doing things like this, typically they have a database of existing drawings that you'll modify or that you'll work with. So that's quite common. You can turn on the closed captioning for it. And then we just go through how to go through and create a site plan drawing. And there's a number of videos for the site plan, everything from how to do the elevations of the plants. Elevations are how high they are. And so it's 1 foot high, 2 foot high, 3 foot high. That would be like a symbol for a bush. And then you can go through and you can just learn how to draw. And it's creative. You don't have to make, there's no dimensions on the tree. I mean, yeah, you want to have something that's 3 feet high. They sell those plants by the size. The bigger they are, the more they cost. And that's how you create that drawing. So lots of video tutorials. And then remember, that we want to have outcomes. We want people to learn something from each chapter. And so if you go into the contents area, and sometimes my thing glitches to the wrong class, and so it did that. So if you go into the contents area, contents is where everything works. Sometimes the splash pages have a little glitchiness. And then you look at the outline of topics, you can go, oh, what am I doing this week? Well, let's take a look. View tools and plotting. All right. And so we're covering module 4, chapter 6 and 7. Actually, it's module 5. And so if we look at the chapters that we're covering, we can then go through and read about it. And so you can go to your GW online account. Let's see if I can find mine. Not yet. So let's see here. Finding my phone. And so you can go into your Goodhart Wilcox online textbooks. There it is. You log in. And you put in your password. And you log in. And then you'll have your digital book here. And so I have a lot of digital books now. It saves my back from carrying them around. But if I go to my AutoCAD book, and then if I look at the different chapters, we were talking about which chapter there, Al, do you remember?
Chapter 5, I believe, 5 and 6.
So let me just double check it just to make sure, so it was, 5, 6, and 7. So if we go to 5, okay, here's the learning objectives. Be able to understand what they call line conventions, okay? What is a line convention? It's basically, when you look at it, it's layers, okay? And so an object line or an object line convention has layers. Think of layers as transparencies. And so here's my layer manager. These are all the different layers. 3D, CEN for center, DIM for dimensions. This def points layer is a non-plotting layer. And so as we work with these, AutoCAD does a lot of stuff, but some of the things kind of get in the way in the beginning. And so if you see something like this with a printer that's kind of grayed out, it doesn't print, okay? The sun means that you have visibility, or the light bulb and the sun, they kind of do the same thing. And then this is getting into viewports and locking, printing, colors. Line types, this is what we're talking about in chapter 5. And line weights. So as we look at the chapter and we talk about line standards, we're talking about continuous lines, hidden lines, center lines. And you don't have to read it like, like you're taking a test on it. You just want to get the knowledge, just get the idea, because they give you so much information, sort of like puts you to sleep. But for example, hey, Joe, what's the dash line? Well, let me look it up. Dash line, identify the location of, yeah, that's going back to the picture. But they tell you that it's the size of it. If you were to buy a pencil, you get a 0.3 millimeter pencil with a lead for it, or a 0.6 millimeter pencil. And then this is the graphic language. If I was to go to another country where I don't speak the language, I can kind of figure that out because I understand hidden lines mean that there's something behind something else. Phantom lines mean that there's an alternate position, that there's like a movement. So a lot of times we kind of know what's going on, but we just don't know the rules. So as we look at these, that's what we're doing. We're defining learning objectives. What do you need to know about layers? Okay, how do they use layers in different fields? So as we go into architecture, architects have a lot of big layer standards, and that's what they talk about here. Mechanical ones, yeah, they have some too. Okay, civil, gas lines, sewer lines, water lines. So it's a language, and it's a language or that's taught graphically. And then when we work with the different layers, that's how we manage the different line types. Okay, and so that's the system. Instead of buying a box full of different pencils with different leads, we use the layer settings. And these standards are made by people like the American Institute of Architects, AIA, or the Society of Mechanical Engineers. But you don't have to read through these chapters and memorize it. What you want to do is you want to use it kind of like a dictionary where you're like, hey, what does the green check mark mean? Oh, it means that layer is current. Oh, okay, that means I'm using it. Okay. Think of it if you were to turn off the light bulb, like you were giving your child a crayon and turning off the lights and they're going to draw. Well, they're not going to see anything. But when you turn the lights back on, you'll see all kinds of stuff. You can set the colors because you want the drawings all to look standardized. In other words, if I do a drawing and then Al does it and he uses completely different colors and completely different text fonts and title blocks, it doesn't look like they match or they go together. And so you want things where, the shoes match the belt, the whole thing works together. And so that's what these standards are set up for. That wasn't the best example, but you have any good ones, Al, just chime in.
You're doing just fine.
So layer line weights, that's like the thickness of the pencils. Okay. The thicker the line weight, the easier it is to read. So when we go through and we look at these different drawings, they pop. Okay. And when I say they pop, what I mean is that if everything is set correctly, like this, the blue lines are kind of bold and the red lines are a little bit less bold because they have different line weights. And so if I look at the layer properties and I look at the center line type, the center line type is 0.3 millimeters and the object line weight is 0.6 millimeters. So it's twice as much, which when your eye sees it, it notices. And so that's what we want. We want the object lines to be in the foreground or something that you notice right away. And then the other lines are lighter in line weight or thinner. So line weights. And then as we go through, they talk about how to set the line weight settings. A lot of, like I say, dictionary stuff. Do I need to do that if it's working? No, not really. Everything is set by Al. Al's got everything set up for you. Here's a site plan drawing. So here's another reference. What do they use them for? Stormwater, pollution, where to plant trees, okay? Where is everything? So everybody has like a facilities. You go to Oakton, they use AutoCAD in their facilities department. They use it to look at where the parking lot is. They look at it for all kinds of different things. And so AutoCAD is used for those different things, and there's different drafting standards for that. and they're usually controlled by layers. Plotting, like we talked about, not plotting. What is it going to do? Well, it's not going to plot. Turning on and off layers, okay, you're going to see them whether they're visible or not. These are kind of the same because AutoCAD has been around longer than most of you guys have been. And when you get down to it, the layer settings are different with computers now than they were back in the 80s when they invented this software, but they keep all the old settings. So on and off, freeze and thaw do kind of the same thing, but freeze and thaw is more powerful because you can freeze layers in viewports now, which is very useful. Locking layers, people in facilities will lock the wall layers so that people don't move the walls because it'll mess up the facilities management. You need to have the right size doors to be able to know whether things fit through them. And if somebody accidentally changes that, then your database integrity is not so good. When you lock a layer, things fade. You can delete layers. I'm not sure what they mean by columns. Filters are too much for me. Layer states. So the drawings in the textbook, you should look over the textbook information. It helps when you take the quizzes. And then, you can meet our objectives. And what are our objectives? Well, identify these line types. Okay. If you go through this class and you don't know what A is, well, you should, because that's an object line or a continuous line. B is a hidden line. C is a center line. This is a dimension line. And then they talk about these other little aspects of the dimension line because you have to know how to set those things up, or you should know how to set them up. Al sets them up for you, but this is an extension line, this is a dimension line, and this is a leader. Hatch patterns, section lines, phantom lines, dotted lines, and this is a cutting plane line. Yes, cutting plane line. So that's our objectives for you guys. We want you to have a basic understanding, go through and look at the outline of topics. If you're going, hey, what am I supposed to be doing? Take a look. We've got it all programmed out. And then when it comes down to every week, we have this Zoom meeting and we'll go through and lay out the different materials. So if we go and take a look at contents, and then we go to lab 5, and we'll start to wrap this up in a minute. Here's chapter 5 in labs. Here's where all the content is. Pick one of the drawings to turn in for this week. This one, or this one. And then here's the online textbook. The exercises are bonus, but they're excellent. If you want to just get more and more into it, lots of resources. And then there's videos. Here's the site plan exercise, the drawings and the PDFs. Here's the prototype. So if I want to start the site plan drawing, I can download it and open it. And there it is. Don't worry about the warnings. You can read through them, but basically they say that it was drawn with the student version. Okay, I've kind of run on a little bit. I'm about 8 minutes over. So let me go back to the main splash page here. Bring it back around. So this week, module 5, pick one of the drawings, this one, or this one. Make sure that you turn in the assignments. Module 4 is due today. If you have any questions about that, we'll open things up. And I'm going to end this meeting and open things for questions. All right.
One thing else. You want to go down a little further, please, on the splash page? There it is. Right there, midterm. Practice midterm. We're not giving you midterm yet as of this point. What we put up there is a practice midterm you're going to try. It is unlimited times you can take it. Just to home your schedule, home your ideas of what could be on midterm coming up in about a week, about 2 weeks from now.
We typically give the midterm after module 7 or 8.
Right.
So we're at 5. So we still have 2 to 3 weeks before midterm.
Right. But according to rules and stuff, we need to notify you that it's coming up. So we don't like to give it to you all one time. We like to give you a couple weeks notice. You can practice and see what it looks like. in between all what you're doing at home and what you're doing to work and et cetera like that.
Right. So we've got everything kind of programmed in there. And if you do have questions, and everybody does, just a matter of whether you want to ask them. Just go and hit this little mailbox right here, mail envelope, and message us. We'll get a little dot here like that, and we'll reply as soon as we can. All right. Well, thanks, Al. I'm going to stop the recording, and we'll open things up for questions.